Welcome to this week's episode of the Soto Mojo Podcast. My name is Trevor,
And my name is Ethan.
and we're just a couple of high school baseball coaches who love talking Mariners baseball. Dude, we are rounding the bend.
We're so back.
We are so back.
I mean,
and
that's my catchphrase.
I don't know if I like it.
Okay.
Because, I mean, of course we're back.
Of course you don't like
Why
it.
do we have to say that we're back? Obviously we're back.
We're so back.
I like to say we're so back if like we were off for a little while, or if like the Mariners are struggling and then they come back and win, then we say like, "Oh, dude, we're back."
But
But
we
like,
do this once a week, but we're so back.
we're so back. Okay, well, hey, whatever, man, whatever. Hey, listen, why don't you run it past your friends who are your like panel of approval or not approval that we're teasing you about your other tagline? See how it plays, and then we'll go from there. Does that work?
We'll see.
What I was trying to
We're
say
so back.
is that we are rounding the bend because a week from Thursday is opening day.
Correct.
So
excited.
So we're almost there. Our team is coming into form. The Mariners are finally getting some W's. So Ethan's breathing and sleeping better at night because he has to see the spring training W's. We did blow a game late to the Diamondbacks that I happened to see over the weekend.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But it was a bunch of like, I don't even know who that guy is.
They didn't even have pictures.
I was watching it on TV. It was en route.
I know, but then like the website, they don't have their pictures.
Oh, the guys who blew it? Yeah. No. You just cannot take these games seriously. Is really like you're just looking for certain things, like breakout guys,
first 5 innings
production. Sure. I mean, they don't matter.
They don't matter, but like they matter.
I know. I hear what you're saying. All that. Listen, the spring training banter is almost over.
If you should care anything, it should be the first 5 innings.
Fair enough. Like when the starters are in and everybody's playing that are gonna actually be playing, like sure, like care about it. And we have plenty to talk about when it comes to that. We have some league stuff that has come down, especially yesterday. So I'm glad that we're recording today. We're recording on Tuesday. So hopefully this will get posted today or tomorrow. But man, we are right there. It is almost time for opening day, which is exciting. Next week, we're going to have our prognostications. Ethan did not like that word this morning when we were talking about it. Too big of a vocab word.
Not in the morning.
Too big of a vocab word for the morning recording.
Predictions, bro.
I don't know. Prognostications
Just
makes me feel smarter. I don't know. Makes me want to put it like doctor before my name, even though I'm not a doctor. Anyways. All right. Hey, let's get into some around the league. Obviously, the biggest news coming out yesterday was the guy that we've been talking about basically every week for the last couple months, which has been annoying. And I'm finally done talking about him, which is nice.
And Blake Snell. He's gone.
He's out.
He signed with the Giants.
Thank God.
Like the same contract that he would have signed with if he did it in December.
Dude, so Scott Boras has totally muffed this offseason.
So he only got 2 years and like opt out after the first.
And only 62.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying, man, I actually posted this on X. I hope Cal is paying attention.
I hope so too.
Because we've all been talking like, man, the odds of Cal coming back to Seattle are already kind of, slim, iffy based on the relationship. It seems like the relationship has been repairing. Obviously, winning covers a lot of woes as well. And so hopefully Cal's paying attention that like, hey, these guys all held out for big free agents signings instead of signing extensions with their team. And they waited and waited and waited. And it didn't work out for them. It didn't work out for Chapman. It didn't work out for Snell now. It didn't work out for Bellinger. It's not going to work out for
you could say Soler to an extent.
Right. I'm just saying like none of these guys ended up getting the contracts that they wanted. And Boras like kind of flubbed it. And so hopefully Cal is like, okay, actually I'd rather sign an extension with the team I want to be with.
Yeah.
So but big news. So I mean, honestly, the reason why the Snell news is big, I thought this is where you're going to go with it, is that the Astros didn't sign him. That was some late action was that the Astros were looking at him.
Yeah, it says in the report that the Astros and the Yanks did not want to go over 30 mil. It also has something to do with the luxury tax, like or just the B tax. I'm just glad he's not in the AL. Like that's a big relief.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering if
Monty's on the board.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Boris, like, was just like, "Hey, the Astros are interested," just to, like, spool some action, because from what I read, like, the Astros balked at his price, like, immediately. So
He had
I
a bullpen in Seattle
Right,
recently that the Astros went to. I
and the
know that.
and the Giants were there too, obviously.
Yeah.
So, anyways, it's one of those things, the Yankees, the Astros, I mean, I'm just happy to see him go to the NL, 1, because then I can root for him, and then 2, obviously staying out of the AL West is huge because he's a stud. And honestly, the Astros are in trouble. We can actually just jump right into this. Uh, they had an injury pop up this last week that was kind of a big deal.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a big deal 'cause I don't think he's that good of a player. But it says Jose Urquidy has a forearm strain, begin the season on the IL. I'm not I mean, it's not too big of news. It's something.
It's going to test their depth right
It's gonna
away.
test their depth, but I mean, what is he? He was their like sixth starter before Verlander got hurt. Now he was their
Yeah,
five. Let's see. Now they projected starting rotation: Framber, Christian Javier, Hunter Brown, Blanco, who replaces Urquidy, and then JP France,
yeah.
who was good last year.
Well, we did. We actually tapped him up. He didn't do well
Uh,
against us.
he he had his major league debut against us. I
Yep,
remember that, and he carved us. And then we, you know, shelled him the rest of the time. So
yep. But we did see some other big injury news come down. So it was actually right after we got done recording. So last time we talked to y'all, the update was that Garrett Cole was getting a second opinion. He was getting additional scans. Everything was coming down. Later that day, or actually maybe it was the next day, came out that he's missing 1 to 2 months. So he's starting out on the IL for sure,
probably at least,
at least one
yeah.
to 2 months, if not more. So the Yankees are hurting. In more injury news, man, it just feels like, again, just in spring training, this happens, right? But Devin Williams, man. So this was a guy that everybody was talking about. Even the Mariners potentially targeting at one point during the offseason. He has 2 stress fractures in his back and is expected to miss at least 3 months.
That's killer, man.
That is killer
He
for
is the
throwers.
best pitch in baseball, in my opinion. The
He is
best.
definitely one of the top 5 for sure.
I think it's the best.
Yeah, I don't know.
That thing spins like no one has ever spun a changeup ever. I mean,
Yeah,
it's basically a screwball.
as far as changeups go, it's probably the best changeup in the game for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I th- it's close with like Brash's slide. I think it's better than Brash's slider. Strider's four seam. Uh, Abner Uribe's sinker. I mean, there's not a lot of pitches that you can compare to that one. But
sure.
MLB the
Yeah,
Show legend, Devin
MLB
Williams.
the
MLB
MLB
the
the
Show legend, Devin Williams.
there it is. There it is. So some bigger news also that came out. Again, we saw some action, just some late signings, a trade, things that are kind of coming down the pike as it pertains to the Mariners. Obviously loose extension now, but we did see that Adam Duvall signed a 1-year deal with the Braves. So the Braves are very quickly about faced. Another vocab word for you this morning
Okay,
is they about faced on Jared, saying, "Hey,
so like
we are not planning on platooning Jared Kelenic," and then 2 weeks later, they go sign Adam Duvall.
yeah. So if you don't know, Jared Kelenic has been horrible this spring.
Yeah,
It's kind of a
and again, we're not
it's
gonna
kind of a
drag him.
karma it's
We're
kind of a karma moment because of how much slander that he put on this city. I wouldn't even just call it the team, the entire city almost. Um, I'm not gonna say he deserves it, but like, and I'm not rooting for his downfall, but
there's a lot of weirdos that are.
yeah, there's a lot of weirdos that are. I'm not rooting for his downfall, but I think it's a little slap in the face.
No,
Like,
I think honestly, it makes me not feel as bad about it, honestly.
I mean, it
If he
does
would,
suck that the two people we got need Tommy John.
right, it just kinda makes the trade looks like a net wash. But yeah, they bring in Adam Duvall. They say that, Adam Duvall is a legend in Atlanta.
Adam Duvall rakes.
Yeah, dude, and they love him there. Obviously, he's a playoff legend for them. So like for me, I look at it and go, it's a great situation for them, and then it's a hedge against Jared. And it's kind of sad that they had to do it. But after what they've seen in the spring, I mean, I watched an at bat of his the other day, and it was rough, man. And they're trying to make swings, and obviously swing changes. He's kind of one of those guys that tinkers, and he tinkers too much, and then he starts getting wonky. And he's been
Yeah,
that as long as we've known him.
and Braves fans keep. I see Braves fans like replies on Twitter. It's
They're
like,
coping the same way we did.
yeah, the exact same way we did, and they're like, "Okay, it's gonna happen. Gonna happen someday.
They're like, "He's gonna turn,
Don't
it's
worry,
gonna
you're
work."
changing mechanics for the 57th time in the last
Right.
month. Like, he'll be fine." And the Mariners fans are like, "No, this is who he is.
We've been there. We
We've done this
know.
for 3 years.
We
Like,
know
we
what
know
this
this.
is. Yep.
We've seen this."
So, it's kind of a bummer for him. I really am hoping that he's successful. I hope he does turn it around. I mean, him being successful in Atlanta doesn't do anything for or against the Mariners. That's why I think it's weird. Like, there's guys that are, like, rooting for him to fail, and I'm like, "That's weird behavior, guys."
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
just, like, he's a young kid. He came to Seattle with huge expectations on his shoulders. Obviously,
Yeah.
didn't live up to them. However, like, chill out. Like, he's a young kid trying to figure it out, and I hope he is successful, man. I don't know. We did see a big trade come through.
Yep. Dylan Cease is a Padre. So, the White Sox got the Padres' 4th, 7th, and 12th best prospect from San Diego, which actually means something because the Padres have a loaded farm system.
I feel like they have an unlimited farm. It feels like no matter what, like,
Yeah,
every year they just
dude.
have a
Oh,
super
they
deep
trade for
farm.
Juan Soto. Oh, wait, they still have, like, 5 top 100
Right.
prospects.
It's like, how does this work? How do you guys have so
They're
many
probably
top
gonna make
prospects?
another they're probably still top 5 in the farms, even though they just traded, you know, 3 of their top 12 prospects.
Right.
And so they traded those 3 prospects and then a reliever. I don't even know that poor guy. I would not wanna go to the White Sox, especially as a reliever. That bullpen is horrible. Um, Dylan Cease pitched yesterday for the Padres when they were scrimmaging against the KBO teams,
Yep.
the, LG Twins. They were the winner of the KBO last year, and they have I think Yuki Matsui was their closer,
Mm.
and then the Padres signed him, so I think a little connection there, and Ha-Sung Kim, they got from the KBO as well, and he was ranked there. I think he won MVP.
And speaking of, that means that we are on the precipice of the actual opening day for the MLB. So the
You watch it
Mariners,
at 3:05 in the morning?
I sure am not.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I will look at the box score, though.
I will probably I mean, I could probably wake up for, like, the end of the game.
I'll tell you this, man. When the Mariners started the season in Japan, when Ichiro retired, I did stay up to watch that. That was cool.
I woke up to watch it
Yeah.
because I was still in school.
Well,
Yeah,
forget you're like 5 years old.
public school.
Public school. Okay, so we also saw a couple smaller signings, just one-year deals, which is kinda where we're at, with the season being as close as it is.
Good.
That's all we're gonna see. So the Pirates signed Michael A. Taylor to a one-year deal, $4 million. JD Davis. So there was some conversation last week where I asked Ethan what his odds were that JD was coming to the Mariners. Obviously, not very high,
Slim to none.
and we did see him sign with the Athletics, which honestly is a great fit for him. He's going to go to the Athletics.
Get traded,
He's probably going to do well ish,
and he's gonna get
and
traded.
then he's going to get traded at the deadline. Athletics are going to get some prospects in return. Like it's a good, trade deadline fodder is what I call them in the notes. It makes sense for him. And then we saw Calhoun, so longtime Mariner killer, Cole Calhoun. He retired.
Mariners legend Cole Calhoun, by the way.
Yeah, Cole Calhoun retired. That dude was so funny. He was like Tony Kemp to me. Like, he wasn't good
He's better
against.
than Tony Kemp.
I understand, but what I mean by that is he wasn't very great against really any other team, but then against the Mariners was just, like, unbelievably clutch, like,
And then he
just
became a Mariners legend.
Mariner killer, and then he became a Mariners legend.
Last year, spring training. He's, he's last year's Michael Chavis. That's a great comp. That's actually an amazing comp. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that
If you
one.
don't say so yourself.
Yeah. Or Nick Solak. Or Cole Tucker.
Well, Cole Tucker just, requested his release,
Yeah.
so he's
Kinda
gone.
weird.
Vanessa Hodgins are you okay?
Vanessa Vanessa Hudgens' kid will not be born in Tacoma. Oh
Are
no.
are you okay?
Well,
I mean,
they probably drove down Hosmer one
we have
time.
we have great hospitals here, though. Like, she would've been taken care of. I'm just saying our hospitals here
Yeah,
in
it's just
Tacoma
it's
are
the route
solid.
to the hospital that they're concerned
It
about.
is a little scary. You never know. You never know what you're gonna see. It's an adventure every day that I drive into work. I'm like, "What am I gonna see today?"
Yep.
Never know. Alright, give me those last 2 pieces of news, and then let's get on with it.
So we got Cole Reagan's stud, by the way,
Stallion,
was traded from the Texans. Oh my
are
goodness.
you okay?
The Rangers.
It's so early for you.
The Rangers to the Royals and the Aroldis Chapman deal.
For Chapman, which I got in
Because
a I
Chapman's not on the
did you
Rangers
see I
anymore.
got in kind of an X beef with somebody the other day about this? So
Yep.
I just came out and I just said, "Hey, I feel like the Rangers are gonna regret that trade." And they're like, they're not regretting anything. They won a World Series ring. And I'm like, hold on, these are two separate seasons, right? Like, I get it that they made moves to win the World Series, but I would argue that Chapman was a net negative for them last year. Like, when he got traded, think about the amount of games that he blew. Like, I would say that he almost single-handedly kept the Mariners in the division race because of how many games he blew in August and September. Like, he blew a ton of games in a very short period of time, where it was to the point where Rangers fans, every time he came into a game late, they were like, "Dude, we lose." Like, I'm just saying, like, when they traded for him, I don't feel like Chapman, like, pushed him over the edge. I don't feel like that
And now
signing
he's not even there.
and then he's not even there. So what I mean is, like, they traded a potential ace, which is how the Royals are treating Cole right now, is like, and he's a dude. He's a dude. When he pitched against the Mariners, I was super impressed with him when he was with Kansas City last year. And I'm like, man, and now the Rangers, and this is what my point was, like, hey, Rangers went and won the World Series. Good for them. All the moves that they made, like, worked for them. Fantastic. You won the ring. Excellent. Now, moving forward, going into this season, your starting pitching depth is hurting. It's super old, and you potentially just traded away a potential ace for a reliever that you use like a rental for a couple of months that didn't even help you win the World Series. So all I was saying is that, yeah, they could potentially regret it as it pertains to this season. Now, are Rangers fans upset at anything they did last year? Of course
I
not.
think they trade the ring for it, or they wouldn't trade the ring for it.
Of course not.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying is like, would I trade every prospect in our farm for a World Series ring this year? Absolutely, I would. Just because we haven't even been to the World Series, right? Like, but my point being is this: like, you can simultaneously say, "Hey, I don't regret anything the Rangers did last year to win the ring." Period. But also, as it pertains to the 2024 season and their starting pitching situation, they're in trouble, at least to start the year.
Yeah. I think it looks significantly worse because of the injuries that they've dealt with.
Right.
Like, if they were full strength right now, you'd be like, "Oh, whatever."
Right.
I mean, it's like it sucks that we traded an ace or an opening day starter, but, we have DeGrom, we have Scherzer, we have Evaldi, we have John Gray. Like, they wouldn't it would we have Tyler Mahle. It wouldn't matter as much, but now because the injuries have stacked up and they're starting, like, Cody Bradford and Dane Dunning, and they're counting on Dane Dunning to be, like, a guy at least.
Right.
John Gray moves up to be, like, their ace. Like,
Right.
"Oh, we might
Have
need
they
that guy."
announced their opening day starter? I
I
don't
don't
think
think
they
they
have.
have.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, man. Hit us with the last piece of news here.
I'm missing.
Domingo.
Oh, I thought you were going with the 1-year deals. Domingo Herman, I don't like the guy because he's I can't really explain that word on here. Signed with the Pirates on a minor league deal. When he threw that perfect game last year,
I was so irritated.
I was so upset.
So a guy
It
that
couldn't be a worse person.
the reason why I wanted to point this out is that it's weird that the guy that has thrown the most recent perfect game last season
Yeah, the next year.
just signed a 1-year deal for $1.5 million minor league deal. How weird with
With
the
the
Pirates.
Pirates?
Right, right, with the Pirates. So I just thought that was a weird piece of around the league news. So here we go. Anyways, hey, let's get into our Mariners updates. All right, so we get to talk about some Mariners updates, mostly good, which is good. I feel like the Mariners have turned the corner to Ethan's. He's so happy. He's so happy that they finally got some spring training wins, and with that,
It's promising.
dude, I
That's what I
just
like. It's promising.
well, what's funny is I'm like simultaneously really excited about our offense, and then I'm also like I'm not worried about our pitching. But that's kind of counterintuitive, right? I kind of either have to take both seriously or not, neither seriously. But I apparently have some cognitive dissonance
Yeah.
because I'm like, hey, I'm really encouraged by the bats and where the bats are, and the pitching. I'm like, I'm not worried about that. The pitching is going to be just fine.
The reason we say this is because at the time that we're recording, right this second, Mariners lead spring training in runs scored. Every team. And they're last in ERA. It's
Which
like
is the
the exact
exact
opposite
opposite.
of what we've been the last 3 years. Ever since the Cruz Cano Seager days. Like,
And
complete opposite.
here's what I'm saying is we know that the ERA and the pitching thing is gonna fix itself.
Yeah.
And so for me, I look at it and go, bro, if we could even have, and I said this last year, if we could have a league average offense with one of the best rotations in baseball and one of the best bullpens in baseball, this team gets dangerous really fast. I mean, one of the pieces of news today is that the MLB has us ranked as number 11 going into the season, which I feel like is a fair ranking.
Low.
If it's a little low, but I'd rather it be a little lower.
I cannot stand how the Blue Jays are just like
The darling of the league somehow.
severely overrated by everybody.
Yeah, I don't get it. I look
I
at their
don't see
lineup, and
it.
I look at their lineup, I'm like, "There's no way they're as good as
I look
people
at their
say."
team, like, Barrios would be our, like, 4, and they're the 2.
5.
No, not the 5. He'd be the 4. He'd definitely be behind Luis, Logan, and, um, Kirby.
Kirby, yeah.
He would be ahead of Bryce and Brian, though. Maybe just out of respect, but
Yeah, I was gonna say out of respect, maybe. All I'm saying is I think 11 is fair. I think it's low enough to tick guys off, but high enough where I'm like, "Hey, they're still thinking that we're a playoff team, that we're a contender, that we have a good lineup." Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they
we're
also have the Rays at 9, I think.
oh, well, because the Rays find a way, bro. Caballero is somehow gonna hit 300 this year with, like, 40 stolen bags, and it's gonna tick me off. But what I'm saying is like I'm not overly concerned. I know our pitching is going to be fine. And the one game I just watched on Sunday, we're hanging out with friends. We just kind of had it on in the background, and just was kind of watching it. And it's like everything looked fine. And then we brought in all the people that don't even have names on their jerseys into the game, and then that was when we blew it to the Diamondbacks. Like that's why I'm not tripping about it. Like the ERA, the team ERA that you're looking at, has a bunch of guys that don't even like that aren't going to make a major league squad this year included in those numbers. So like, why would we trip about that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is the runs scored part is exciting because most of those runs have been scored by our dudes, right? Like our runs scored, our RBI leaders, Polanco, Cal, Garver, Canzone. Then we start getting into names like Bliss, who's not going to make the team. Brian Anderson, who's probably not going to make the team, right? Ty France, finally, then we pick him back up. You know what I mean? Like our top RBI leaders are not like all of our top RBI leaders are guys that are going to be on the major league squad. Like I'm encouraged by that. Um, so I honestly I'm encouraged by us leading in runs scored, and I'm also simultaneously not worried about our pitching being in the higher side of the ERA. Just not.
Yeah. I mean, I could totally see it. Yeah. So if I were to be like, imagine I told you this last year, you're like, so we're in spring training and or just I'm eliminate spring training. Be like, hey, one is runs and one is ERA. We're first in one of them and we're last in the other.
Oh, I would never guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, never guess that. Even if you asked me that in November of last year when we started this podcast, hey, in spring training, which category we're going to lead in, I wouldn't even hesitate.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is interesting. So we saw a couple things come through that we were curious about. So Samad Taylor, when we got him, we traded him for a player to be named later. And so typically, just in case you don't know, typically when you trade for a player to be named later, it's normally like the team will give them like 2 names and then the team will just, it's not like they just get the pick of the litter.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, they get 2 names of guys and then they can wait to see how things play out injury wise or if, they how they play in spring, whatever. So do you want to tell everybody who we got here in return for Samad Taylor? Or
I
that we
want you to
gave,
say this
who we
name.
gave?
I want you to say this name.
No, see, I gave this to you so I didn't have to say it.
I don't I
You want me to say it?
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel Garabitos.
There you go.
Did I get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
So he's like a 5+ ERA
In
pitcher,
single A.
single A guy. I'm not like
He was
honestly.
pretty nasty. I saw some clips. He's actually pretty nasty. It's just like the the timeline is just so far.
And for who Samad Taylor has already shown himself to be, I mean, honestly, I think there's a percentage chance that he makes the opening day. I don't really know where.
I think he'd make it over Haggerty if it was my
Yeah, but
opinion.
Haggerty's not making it either. Like Demo's the
Yeah.
only guy slotted into the utility. I don't know. Can we take one less bullpen guy? Like maybe we
We
do that.
can, but
Yeah,
probably not.
maybe we take one less bullpen guy and add Samad Taylor. I'm just saying he's earned a spot. He's crushed this spring, dude.
Yeah.
He's absolutely crushed.
If someone goes down with injury like a Urias or a Rojas or Demo, he's the first guy up, in my
Oh,
opinion.
100%.
Yeah. I'm not back.
100%.
I'm not.
Haggerty's trying to earn that spot though. I mean, he had a
He
home
hasn't
run.
earned it so far.
No. They're DHing him. I mean, it seems like he's away from being ready to go anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of, people were panicking panicking. You guys gotta stop panicking, dude. It's crazy to see the responses on like just like the team's social media page. Like the interns that run that page don't care what you have to say. I just have to put that out there.
Yeah.
Secondly, these are all normal things. I'm like, have you guys never paid attention to a spring training before ever in your life? Because it's not that big of a deal. So Wu got pushed back an extra day, which you're trying to give him an extra day off. They're just again trying to keep innings off the arm. No big deal. And then he came in the next day and he dealt against the Brewers, which we're going to talk about. I'm just saying, and he's our 5 spot starter. Guys are like tripping out about Brian Wu, and I'm like, this is our 5 starter. Like 5 starters literally
Or
are
innings
known
eaters.
for giving up like 4 or 5 plus ERA. They're going to give up some runs. They're just trying to keep us in games for our offense to hopefully match against their 5. Like if you're watching baseball, 1 through
So like Marco Gonzalez is a 5.
right.
Like
And
innings eater.
just inning innings, going to keep us in a game, giving up probably 4 or 5 runs, but keeping it enough close enough where our offense can potentially win too. And what I'm saying is we are so blessed by our rotation that like we're expecting our 5 starter to throw ace stuff. Like if you're watching baseball, opening day, starter versus starter, it should be a low scoring affair, right? That's
Yeah.
typically how it goes, right? It's like 1-0, 2-1, like low scoring games. And then as you progress through the week, the runs start adding up and getting bigger because it gets further and further away from your ace. The Mariners are blessed because our
And
top
you have to
3,
balance bullpen.
you have to bullpen, all that. So like our 1 through 3 are all aces. So you're hoping that we're keeping the other team to low scores 1 through 3. And then we get to our 4 or 5 starters, which are really 3 starters, right? Like Bryce Miller and Brian Wu, if you go to most other teams, are probably going to be a 3-4, right? And you're talking about those guys who are pitching in the 4-5 slot. I'm just saying, like, people need to relax. Like, you guys are expecting a 5 starter to throw ace stuff. That's not happening. And that's okay. He doesn't have to. That's not what the 5 starter is needed. Now, if he does,
Holy cow.
that's awesome, right? That's awesome. But anyways, so he got pushed back. He dealt. We'll talk about that when we get there. Um, Ryan Stanek, dude.
He's nasty. He looked good. He looked good yesterday
Yep.
when he pitched. So on Monday, whenever this releases, through 1 inning, gave up a hit and clean inning.
Yep.
Just looked fine. They posted him on the graphic of the win. His beard looks rough.
Don't care.
It looks really rough.
I don't care. Why do you care so much about these guys' appearances?
I don't.
I just want them to be a dog.
I want them to be a psycho.
They could just be greasy, nasty, terrible hair, terrible beard, hasn't showered in a week.
Yeah, and then
I
and
need
then
my bullpens to be I need my bullpen guys to have a screw loose, man.
yeah, and then rub your hand in your hair, your oily hair,
Oh boy.
and then gets into that whole
I
thing.
hate that guy.
James Karinchak.
Yep. The worst.
Yep.
That guy became a villain, dude,
I
in the
know, and
MLB.
he sucks.
Yeah, he does now, but he was nasty down the
Yeah, I
stretch.
wonder why.
Yeah.
So another news: Philander Baroa, who we dealt in the Santos deal, also has an arm/shoulder issue. So pretty
Those who
much the same situation as Santos.
So those that were super concerned about us trading away Baroa, like kind of in the same boat as Santos. And Santos still has way more upside and
Easily.
already has shown that his stuff works at the MLB level. Baroa has not. So here we are. Dude, Sebi, bro. Master class on defensive side and now also hitting bombs. Like, dude is just for a backup catcher. I haven't been this excited since Tom Murphy like 2 years ago as my backup catcher.
Yeah. The only thing with Murphy is he wasn't a good defender.
He was average.
I don't think I've ever seen a time where Tom Murphy did not throw the ball into center field.
Dude, Cal kind of went through a spell where he was throwing
But
into
Cal also
center
led
field.
the league in runners thrown out.
Bro, but you know how much of that stat came like the last month and a half of the season? I'm just saying, like
Yeah,
he
when it
was
mattered the
right.
most.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like he was sending into center field for like months.
But Tom Murphy did it all the time.
That's true.
Over like a 3-year span.
Right. Dude, but Sevy's a dude. So I was actually ecstatic about the signing. You know, again, people are like holding a backup catcher and saying, well, he's not very good. It's like, against what?
What do you
He's a backup catcher. If he was really, really good, would he be a backup
No, he
catcher?
would be starting on
Right.
the A's for
Right.
the
So the fact that Sebi is good defensively, obviously has some pop in his bat, is going to be so good for Cal's like health going down the
that's
stretch.
all you need in a backup catcher.
Right.
Like, just play defense,
Have
right?
some pop.
And, what can you get for me offensively? Like, you don't have to carry you're not hitting 3rd, you're
Right.
hitting last.
Right.
Like,
Or
you don't
eighth.
need
Yeah.
or 8th. Well, I hope he's not hitting 8th because who's hitting 9th?
Rojas, flip the lineup.
Mm, I would still hit Rojas 8, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Well, I like having speed on the base paths at 9. I don't know. I like flipping the lineup with speed
I mean,
typically.
yeah. You wouldn't want Sebi in the way of, like, your leadoff guy, so that's true.
Yeah,
But who is JP Crawford as a base stealer?
that's fair.
So, I don't did he have a stolen base? He probably had 1. 1 stolen base
Bro,
last year.
speaking about one stolen base, did you see Cal's stolen base?
Yeah.
And then the dingus hurt himself? Like he stole second and then slid super it looks super awkward. You could tell he hasn't done it in a minute.
Yeah.
And then hurts his heel. We'll talk about that when we get to the injury updates, but it was kind of funny. A little random tidbit that Codify Baseball came out with that confirmed what our eye test said is that Teoscar Hernandez became the first MLB batter on record to swing and miss over 500 times in a single regular season. Which I'm like, bro, that matches the eye test.
Yeah.
Like, adds up. It was so rough watching his at bats and especially trying to hit sliders last year. And you're just like, man, this is bad. So yeah, Codify Baseball puts that up. And I'm not trying to like throw dirt on the guy. I'm just like, man, like this is
That's a
exactly what we were talking about. That's a bad stat, dude. That's a really bad
the first
for a team that's supposed to be control the zone and get into good counts and all this other stuff to
we
have a guy
get the one
leading.
guy that
That's crazy, dude.
500 times.
Yeah. So anyhow, Sarah Langs came out with some cool stuff. I think I've actually already seen this stat before, but she came out and posted it again that in 2023, Kirby, Gilbert, and Castillo had 3 of the top 10 qualified starting pitchers in WHIP.
Yeah.
So this is what we're talking about when people are like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, there's no, like, what do you mean you guys have 3 aces? Like, da da da. It's like, this is what we're talking about. We
Yeah.
had 3 of the top 10 qualified starting
there was a
pitchers.
time, like, a few years ago where
We're recording in Tacoma, so there's going to be
yeah, there's gonna be
sirens.
sirens. I apologize. But, I think there was a point last year where there were, like, 3 of the top 6. And Logan led it out of all people,
Right.
for a while. I don't know. I think he dropped a little bit near the end. But, I mean, still something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, George just doesn't walk people. Says no to walks. And, I mean, they all do.
Yeah.
Castillo's the one that doesn't give up hits.
Right.
They don't string together hits against him. The other 2, they just don't walk guys. Say
Right.
no to walks.
Say no to walks.
Hashtag say no to walks.
I wish we could say that to our high school guys. Just say no to walks.
Oh,
just,
boy.
just say no to walks. So some cool stuff that happened at spring training. The Modesto Nuts, they got their ring presentation at spring training. Hopefully, precursor of what's to come. They did win the Cal League last year and had a lot of young dudes on that team, one of which was Lazaro Montez. And some cool stats came out about him. So again, like matches the eye test, right? So let me read these off to you, bro. And I already gave you the cheat sheet. I wish I would have had
Yeah, I
you
can see it
guess.
right in front of me.
I wish I could have guessed. But Lazaro Montez, he's one of the only 21-year-olds or younger prospects since 2022 to do the following: more than 400 plate appearances, more than 150 WRC plus, more than 400 on base percentage, more than 920 OPS, and he plays in low A or higher. And he did all of those things. Can you name the other 3 guys that did that? Gunnar Henderson, Corbin Carroll, Jackson
2
Holiday.
Orioles, by the way.
I'm just saying that's great company to be in. Like, just saying, if you're sharing stats with those 3 guys and you go see what they're doing, of course, 2 of those are Orioles, which makes us feel great. But
Both rookie of the years and the number 1 prospect.
right.
To put it clear.
So honestly, for him to be sharing company with those guys is really awesome. He's had a couple of appearances now in spring and has gotten a couple knocks here and there. Honestly, man, like baby Jordan, but he's more athletic than Jordan, honestly, in my opinion. Just watching what he's doing in the
So far,
outfield
yeah.
so far. He's also younger, so that also,
Yeah, it
that
helps a
also
little
plays
bit.
to it. So, anyways, you want to get into our injury updates? I think that's where we're at here.
Yeah, so Matt Brash continuing to advance in his throwing progression. He's doing full strength long toss, which is really good news. Because we probably wouldn't have expected that as of like 2-3 weeks ago
Yeah, it's
when we
weird.
thought he was going to be out for the year.
The script got flipped where we were feeling good about Santos and not about Brash, and now all of a sudden those have flipped.
Yeah, so now Santos is the one being shut down. I'm not sure if it's still going to be late April for his, estimated return. Um, but we'll see there. And then Cal got scratched from the game when he's still second, bruised heel. Yeah, you could tell he hadn't been stealing a lot of bases.
They said it was minor. They're not worried about it. Obviously, it's precautionary. They don't want these injuries to add up this early on in the season before the season even gets started. So, not a big deal, but just kind of funny.
Oh wow. So every team, I just found this. Every team has announced their opening day starter. So should you want me to go through?
Just do the AL West.
AL West. Okay, let's do. So Framber, Nathan Evaldi, obviously Castillo, uh, Alex Wood, and who was the Angels guy? Patrick Sandoval.
Patrick Sandoval is
Hmm
your
I'm surprised it's
opening
not
day
Detmers.
starter. Yeah, I
See if there's
can't believe it's not
any other
Detmers.
fun names here. Garrett Crochet, Kyle Freeland, Tarek Skubal, Seattle U legend.
Detroit.
Did you know that?
I,
Tarek Skubal went to Seattle U. Jesus Luzardo, Zach Eflin, Josiah Gray, and then it's like the obvious guys. Jose Quintana for the
wow.
Mets.
For the Mets. I told you the Mets have nobody, bro. You're like, dude, they're still going to be good. I'm like,
Yu
who's pitching?
Darvish will be starting for the Padres in Seoul
And that starts on like what, Thursday?
tomorrow.
Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. So, anyways, awesome. Opening day coming in hot. Let's roll through our game recaps from spring training. By the way, I don't know if we haven't decided yet. During the regular season, I don't know if we're gonna go game by game like this. We'll figure out kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, because I mean, it's because these are only, like I said, the first 5 innings.
Right.
So what could we get out of those first 5 innings? Obviously, whole games it's a lot more different. So,
Sure.
so roll through it. So the day we recorded last week, we played the Dodgers. We got absolutely dominated by Yamamoto. The
To the
first time
point where
through.
Ethan texts me and he's like, "Oh man, this is bad. Yamamoto carving us up. Blah blah blah."
I was just saying it's nasty. I had no problem with the offense. I'm just like,
Sure.
this guy's just gross.
But then what's really cool is I honestly I'm going to call it the Brant Brown effect. Maybe I'm giving him too much credit. People were like clowning on us a little bit, which is fine. But I'm like, bro, look at the adjustments we made. We made adjustments at the plate, obvious adjustments at the plate. One of the things that we've heard that's different about this squad is that after every at bat, you see the guys huddling up to talk about what they learned, and that is really cool to
Yeah.
me because that's what they should be doing, right? Like, hey, what is he seeing? What does it look like? We encourage our high school guys to do is, hey, you know what? You strike out, take between the plate and the dugout to be ticked at yourself, whatever, all that. But as soon as you get back to the dugout, be a teammate and let them know, like, hey, what'd you see? What'd you learn? How do you adjust?
I think one thing they noticed about Yamamoto, I was kind of noticing when I was watching, he would rarely throw like 2 to 3 fastballs in a row. It's always fastball and then off speed. That's they're probably sitting on, whether it was curve or splitter. Splitters disgusting. So it
Well,
was
this
curveball,
well, the second time through the lineup, we ate him
but we ate him
alive.
alive because we were just sitting off speed. So we ended up. So he like I said, first time through the lineup, I think it was perfect. And then the fourth inning rolls around, and the fifth, we score 4 runs off of him and strike 8 hits, stringing together hits. Scored 8 runs total that game without a home run, which is important because
Right.
last year we were so dependent on it.
Right.
It was led by the Mitches. Um, and then on the defensive side, Gabe Spire had to bounce back. He needed it
Which is
really
bad.
bad.
Yeah, badly.
Tyson Miller had another great outing. We'll get into him later. And Mitch Haniger had pretty good defensive plays out there. He
Yeah,
actually looks decent.
he robbed either a home run or at least an extra base hit from Otani where he had to jump at the
He
wall.
was also like playing on
He
the
looks
warning track.
athletic, dude.
He was he was playing pretty deep.
He's looking healthy though. I don't even care.
Yeah.
Like him making a leaping catch shows me something already. The next game was when we played Milwaukee. This is the one I was telling you about where Wu came in and was a dude. He went 4 perfect innings, shut him down 1, 2, 3, was getting guys out that were lefties as well. We saw a couple clutch homers by Haniger and Cal. Those dudes have been clutch, dude, all spring.
It's been it's been straight up good.
Polo's been clutch, Hanny's been clutch, Cal's been clutch. We've just seen honestly just production, dude. Like guys hitting in big spots, which has been good. Ty's been clutcher than he was at the end of the season last year. Like all really good. But honestly, we were kind of like we were anxious to get through that game because we were super excited to get to the next game, which was the prospect showcase game.
And until it didn't, because it got rained out.
Of course, that of all games that gets rained out, like that's probably the game I was
Well, it was a
most
split
excited
squad.
to watch.
It was a split squad, to be
Right,
fair. So like the major league team was playing while the prospects were playing, but
right.
both of them got rained out. And yeah. So with your point about our guys being guys in spring training, so Canzone, Garver, Julio, Polanco, Cal, and Haniger all have over 1,000 OPSs this spring. So JP's rocking a 945. Down the list here. Ty France upper 700s, but it's not egregiously bad. I would take that out of Ty
Oh,
France
totally,
for
totally.
140 games. So our guys have showed up.
Yeah.
So 2 through 6 in the lineup has just been over 1,000 OPS the entire spring.
And we know JP's gonna be fine.
Yeah, JP will be fine,
He
but
just
he's still in the 900s.
and he historically just doesn't have good springs. It's just true. He
He's
doesn't.
actually picked it up a little bit. Let's see. I think he's hitting
Yeah,
333.
he's hitting 333.
Yep.
Yeah.
10 hits, 10 for 30.
Well, my
Nice.
big thing is like how many walks does he have? He has 3.
Yeah, he's probably swinging the bat a lot more just
Just
to
because
see
it's
what he can
spring.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. So then we go into a game against Cincinnati. Man, Hancock struggled,
And
and
this is gonna be a theme, by the way.
so we went from one hitting Cincinnati the last time we played them in the spring to them knocking us around a bit. We did put up some hits as well. We lost that game, I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, we lost to Cincy. So we saw, Haggerty hit a home run. Locklear hit a wait. This isn't the one that Locklear hit a home run in the ninth, was it?
It was. I
Oh,
mean, I
so then
checked
we
the
won
box
that
score.
game
Yeah.
because Locklear hit a bomb in the ninth to win that game. So I take it back. We did win that game, but it was ugly. It was
Yeah.
ugly. It was not clean, that is for sure. So then we did have the game against Arizona. I did talk to you guys about that one already, so we won't go crazy in depth. However, the big piece of news coming out of that was that Logan Gilbert threw 5 shutout innings, was dominant, had his strut going, the backwards wave as he's going off the mound that him and Pitching Ninja talked about. And dude, he needed it bad. He did confirm this, and I'm gonna put this. So I was calling this right that like guys that were worried about Gilbert's last couple outings, they were like worried about it. You were worried about it. I was like, guys, he's probably working on stuff. Sure enough, he comes out after this game, and they're like, hey, what was the difference between this game and the last two? He's like, oh, I was working on my two seam. Like I was working on like the different action. I was working on different arm angles. Like I was trying to figure out how my two seam worked in combination with my cutter. Like it was just one of those things. Like he was talking about how he was working on specific pitches, and I'm like, there you go. So then he goes into a game where he's just worried about dominating and doing his thing. He goes in, gets 7 Ks, is great. Polanco, Garver came up huge that game, drove in a bunch of runs. Samad Taylor continued to impress. Dude, I'm just saying, like, we ended up losing that game, but we were up 4-1, and then we put in a bunch of guys that we don't know.
Yeah.
So, what was
That one's a wash a little bit. Moving on to
last night's game?
last night's game. Tyson Miller, welcome to the Screw You bullpen. I think he will make the opening day roster. I don't know if that's a bold prediction. That I'll use that as my bold prediction
The org
because
is the org is pretty high on him.
he has been so he's dropped down an arm slot. He's bought into the system a little bit. He has a .8 WHIP this spring in 8 innings pitched and a 0 ERA.
Yeah, nasty.
And I think he also has 10 strikeouts.
And he started,
he started this game.
and he started because Bryce Miller got pushed. They pushed him to the B squad game, just a sim game for the Mariners, and they did that. Honestly, they do that just because Texas's lineup is nasty, and you don't want to blow a guy's confidence up right before the season starts. So they went with Tyson Miller. He shut him down. It actually ended up being a back and forth affair towards the end of the game, but we ended up pulling out the win to make Ethan happy. So they did end up winning yesterday. I'll talk about him in a second, but Dom Canzone continued to rake. This is the game that Stanek came in and he did great. And then there was a point where the Mariners strung together 13 hits, which is pretty that's pretty fun.
Yeah, I'm not used to it, so it's pretty fun to
Yeah.
see.
So why don't you roll through our stat leaders here and then we'll get into our player of the week.
Yep. So games played, Ryan Bliss leads with 16
He's getting a lot
games.
of reps, man. I think they really want to see what they have in him.
Yep, Mitch Haniger's 12 hits leads the team. He's hitting like 480 this
Dude,
spring.
he's shredding.
Ty France leads in doubles with 4. The only people with triples are Johnny Farmello, Luis Urias, Cal Raleigh, and Lazaro Montes. What a group that is. Uh, the Mitches and Canzone have 3 homers. Very promising.
Yep.
Polanco and Cal are tied with 11 RBIs. Dylan Moore leads in walks with 8. He also leads in strikeouts, which I was ready for you to quiz me again, so I ended up looking at it before we recorded. And Ryan Bliss leads the team in stolen bases with 5. I thought that would for sure be Class A, but guess not.
He's been aggressive on the
So
bags, man.
for pitching, Colin Snyder and Brett DeGue lead with 7 games pitched. Luis Castillo is 13 innings pitched total, and Logan Gilbert has 17 strikeouts. Leads the team.
Yep. So we're starting to come into form. Again, our starters you're going to see in the next week. It's going to be mostly our starters getting reps. We're going to see a couple of demotions of guys going down to minor league camp or things like or getting DFA'd. I'm really interested to see, honestly, one of the big storylines I want to watch the next week. What happens to Taylor Trammell? I don't think he makes it,
Yeah,
man.
he's gone.
I think the way we
I think it.
DFA him.
I think it's.
I hope we can trade him. I don't think we're going to though. I think teams see the
Teams
writing on the
know that
wall.
he's not going to make it, so they're not going to
Yeah.
give up anything for him.
Yep. But
Yeah.
it's kind of a bummer. I mean, he has had a decent spring, but there's just nowhere for him to be. He doesn't have any options. Can't go down to the minors unless he chooses to, which I doubt it. So this is probably the last that we see of Taylor Trammell,
Yeah.
which is kind of a bummer.
Fun guy though.
Yeah. Let's get into our player of the week. All right, dude. So I got to start with mine because I cannot believe I'm actually a little shocked at how well he has played this spring. And the reason why we didn't go into a ton of detail on him earlier is because he was my player of the week. And that's Dominic Canzone, man, the Dom. I'm just saying he has come a long way. Even though his swing is still a little funky to me of how he like falls out of the box, he's staying on outside pitches. I mean, if you go look at the home runs he's had, they're balls that are running on the outside of the plate, and he's still finding a way
Getting
to
to
get
it.
to the barrel. I don't understand how. I think he just has really long arms, like arm extension has to be there because he's falling out of the box and he's still catching the outside corner, which I don't really know how that works.
Yeah.
Um, but he has 3 home runs this spring. He's batting 300. He has a 700 slug, and he's barreling everything, dude. If he is putting the bat on the ball, it's catching a barrel. And I think, as you put in the notes here, we didn't say it earlier. Like he is absolutely going to be our opening day starting left fielder. Like he's hitting lefties, he's hitting righties, he's barreling everything up. His defense is totally fine. I don't think he's a plus outfielder by any stretch of the imagination, but he's average, maybe a little above average, but he's probably just a league average corner outfielder, which is fine. If you bring it at the plate, like that's totally fine. Dom coming and bringing the production that he's going to bring. If Rayleigh ends up turning the corner, I'm still fine with a Dom platoon with Haniger. But here's the thing, dude. I don't think Scott can afford to platoon either Canzone or Haniger. With how both of these guys are hitting, how do you platoon those guys?
Knock Rayleigh out of left field to start.
That's what I'm saying
Yeah.
is you can't do it. You can't platoon 2 guys that are raking off of right and lefties, RBIs, clutch hits, barreling it up. If you're smart, you let Dom Canzone and Mitch ride this wave of momentum. Baseball is a game of
Until it
moment,
doesn't.
and it won't, right? At some point, it'll run out. That's how it works. Where they'll hit a downshift, and then you make an adjustment. But while both of these guys are hot, your outfield needs to be Dom Canzone in left, Julio in center, Mitch Haniger in right, opening day and for the foreseeable future. Dom Canzone has absolutely crushed this spring.
Yep. And I wasn't. I can't lie. I was not a fan of him going into spring.
You were kinda critical
I was
of him for
critical
sure.
because of
Yeah.
his defense,
I think his
and
defense
I
has
didn't think
always
his
been fine.
hitting was as good as people thought. 'Cause I thought, like you said, balls out of the box, mechanics are funky, didn't have a lot of power. He hit
He
the
he
ball.
he
His
does have a lot of power, and it makes no sense.
now he does.
No, he had power last year
But
too.
he gained like 15 pounds of muscle this offseason.
True.
That was the big story with him. Like that ball he hit yesterday would not have left in September. I genuinely believe.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Um, so moving on to mine, I got my guy Mitch Garver. Freaking love that guy. He's honestly probably my favorite hitter. I can't lie.
Wow.
Just like I don't know what it is with the eye test. His swing is just so like simple and smooth.
That's
Like
how I feel about Mitch Haniger, man. I love watching Mitch Haniger swing. I just love how long he keeps the barrel in the zone, man. I
but
love watching Hanny swing the bat.
with Garver, like he doesn't even follow through all the way. Like it literally looks like he barely swings.
It looks like he saws it off at the end too.
Uh
It's
huh.
weird. Like,
It's super. Like he barely swings, and it goes 450 feet. I don't. So he's been everything the Mariners have asked him to be so far. Granted, it's spring training.
but at DH actually hitting the ball?
DH hitting the ball
What
and
is
hitting the
this?
fourth.
Are we allowed to do this? I I'd actually put a meme up, from the Phantom Menace. I'm a Star Wars fan, so forgive me. But it's like, is it legal? Like, are we allowed to have a DH hit?
No, the answer
Is
is
it?
no.
Is it? Oh, wait, hold on. I thought we just had to have a utility guy in the
I
DH
thought it was supposed
role.
to be a fourth outfielder going through the station of rest days. Um, so he has 10 RBIs this spring, 3 bombs. He's hitting 346 with a 414 on base at 1106 OPS.
Yeah,
So
that'll do.
he's slugging 700. So nothing short of amazing. So he is three doubles, three homers, 10 RBI, second in RBIs to Polanco and Cal. Dude, the guy just rakes. Like I'm so
Absolutely rakes.
excited for that. I am so excited. I know he hasn't hit well at T-Mobile Park, but he also had to face our pitching. That matters.
That
Okay.
matters.
Guy is a stud
Yeah.
of a hitter.
All right. I mean, I'm with you, man. I think Garver is a huge addition. I think people are going to be very pleased. I mean, if our offense looks like this, like and with our bullpen and our rotation being what it is, bro, we need to be honestly right now. We need a fast start with all
Yeah,
the injuries to the Rangers, all the injuries to the Astros. Like we have to start off hot. We need an early lead.
we'll know that, which
Because
is
if
good.
they come in, yeah, and that's I actually read an article the other day, where I think it was Shannon was talking about that the front office, Scott, all the players, they understand like there's no room to like tinker around with the lineup. Like we need to win and we need to win right away.
Yeah, we're not gonna have Sam Haggerty DH. Be a
Goodness
great idea.
gracious.
So
So,
yeah,
anyways, let's get into our prospect insider. All right, so this guy I really wanted to see in the prospect game, and I'm kind of bummed that the rain prevented that from happening.
we talked about him before too, but
We have to re-talk about
yeah.
him because Logan Evans is a dude.
So yeah, 12th rounder out of Pitt a couple years back. Guy's a stud. Like I said, he was gonna start the spring breakout game with all the prospects. Got rained out, which sucked. Um, so instead of that, he started a sim game at the backfields of minor league camp against. I think it was some other. They played some other team, but
He
he
sat down 7 in a row, right, to
yeah.
start?
But he had pitched 2 innings, got 7 up, 7 down, and like, whoa, wait, what? 7 up, 7 down in 2 innings? Yeah, he was so efficient with those first 6 batters that they had to add another one so he could hit his pitch count.
Nasty.
Wow.
Nasty.
Yeah. So in the second inning, 3 up, 3 down. Then they had to add another batter because that's how good he was.
Yeah.
So he's
And he
hitting.
sat that guy down too.
Yep, of course he did. Hitting
uh,
99 with a plus sweeper.
that'll
That
do it.
literally sounds like a bullpen arm. I know he probably won't be down the road, but
Honestly, I'm just excited to have another starting pitching prospect other than Hancock that we can look to that could develop into being a guy in the
yeah,
next couple of years.
yeah, he's still a little bit of ways away though.
We need it. No, but we need another wave, right? Like we can't just depend on these guys forever. We need
Well,
another young
Hancock's
arm.
horrible too.
Right. But he's 6'4", 215, dude. So he's a big dude. He's a Logan Gilbert like type body frame.
Yeah, because he only started 5 games in Modesto last year, so he's probably gonna start in Everett.
Yeah.
And if he cooks, I mean, he'll be in Arkansas. So, and usually we don't have pitchers go to Tacoma.
Right.
So Arkansas is kind of the final stop. So it could be a 2025, late 2025 ad,
Yep. Could be.
or if we need the sixth pitcher that bad.
Which you never know.
I mean, it's not impossible, but it's
No,
not probable.
but Logan Evans is showing a lot of potential. It's a name that you should be familiar with. He's gonna be a guy down the road, and obviously the org is very excited about him, and he's got the stuff where he could really be a dude for us.
Yep.
All right, let's get into our hot corner. Normally, I try to get under Ethan's skin a little bit with my hot corner. Today, I'm not going to. Today, I'm going to be nice. The sun's shining. We got a game this afternoon. I'm in a good mood. So my hot corner today is that I think the Mariners are going to win all of their spring training games to finish out. So the next week and a couple of days, I think the Mariners are going to win every game that they play. With the way the offense is going, we're going to see our starting pitchers back in there finishing up, staying on their rotation. We're going to see our bullpen arms getting more work. We're going to see a lot of less random names that are coming into games. I think we're going to finish the spring really strong. I mean, right now the team is what, 10-13. So yeah, I think we finish spring training over 500. I think we finish up strong, and then we go into Boston feeling really good about where we're at.
Yeah, and mine has to do with the screw you bullpen. I mentioned it earlier. I think Tyson Miller makes the opening day roster. So I think it'll look like Munoz, it'll look like Stanek, it'll look like Spire, Thornton, Sauce. Then we get into like Vargas, and then Miller, and then Voth,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I could see that.
Now, here's the thing though. When Brash and Santos are ready, I feel like he might be the first one down. Or
It'll
Voth.
be it'll be whoever's struggling.
Or Vargas. Yeah, it could totally be possible. Whoever's struggling the most, then again, they could get injured. I hope that does not happen in any way, shape, or form. But it's bullpen arms, and you never know.
Yeah.
But I think Tyson Miller does make the opening day roster. I think he's earned it. He's been the best statistically, other than Reed Van Scotter, who got optioned already. He's been the best pitcher overall.
You can't let go of Reed Van Scotter. You got to bring him up every show.
No, because
You're going to be talking about Reed Van Scotter in like August. Don't be like, Ethan, it's enough.
Hey man, he got sent down and he was still leading the team in some stats. Not anymore because it's been like a week.
It's true. It's true. All right. Hey, guys, thank you guys so much for listening, man. It's been a great week. We're excited. Like I said, next week, we're going to come with our guesses, our estimations, our predictions, our prognostications. We are going to come with all of that next week. And when we record next, we're going to be 2 days away from opening day. So we're really excited for that. The sun is out in Washington, which means we're all in better moods, which is fantastic. Mariners baseball is coming in hot, man.
Yep.
We're about to do this thing. You got anything else to add here?
No. Enjoy the weather.
Dude, enjoy it.
Enjoy the weather.
Call us, man. 253-201-4364. Yeah, we do want to do that at some point. We want to run the voicemail, run just an opinion that you guys have, and then we can talk about it from there. We're going to be switching up a little bit of what the show looks like when it comes to the regular season, so buckle up for that. We're going to do some in-depth division analysis and things like that. So that will change a little bit formatting-wise. But, man, we're excited. We've been working since November to get this thing going. Your guys' support has been crazy. I was talking to a buddy over the weekend that was encouraging me, that was like, dude, having 55 subscriptions to this point is kind of crazy for only our 18th episode. Yeah. So thank you guys so much for the support. We're averaging between 75 to 100 listens of each episode that we throw up. Our YouTube is getting bigger and better as we go. And honestly, we're just pumped to be doing this, man. So blessed to have you guys listen to us. And man, thanks so much for listening. Go Mariners. Have a great week, man.
Happy birthday, Perry Hill.
Perry Hill, you are a dude. Happy birthday. Have a good week, guys.